Durgapur to have this fascinating program what we are going to have today. You can really enjoy lots of discussion, the linkage between the science, philosophy, and the education. Today we have with us through online Professor Gokhale. Professor Gokhale is our presently chairman of the Board of Governors of Nit Durgapur. We will also talk about the present education policy. And here we also, in physical mode, we are going to get the lectures, the ideas from Professor Dr. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. Dr. Martin Kenshin, came from Vishwabharati Shantiniketan. Thank you for being here, sir. And Professor Anupam Basu, and another eminent speaker, Professor Bikash Sinha. He is on the way. Within 10 minutes, he will be here. We are going to want to be late to start the program, so we are going to start. And thank you all for joining this event. So our first talk, the introductory speech, is by Professor Sadanand Gokhale. He is the chairman, the Board of Governors of NIT Durgapur, and he also a retired professor from IIT Madras. So he has vast experience on the subject, being in the administrative position in different NITs as a director, almost 4 NITs. I'm not going to take all the names. So he has a lot of experience on this. So we are going to hear him. So may I request Professor Gokhale to start his introductory speech. Sir, please.
Do you want me to wear a headphone? Okay. I moved a little closer to my system. Yeah, okay. Yes, is there any introduction or I just straight away start? Okay, all right. Good morning to you all. The theme of today's one-day seminar cum conclave is education, science, and philosophy. I'm just turning it a little bit around, and I'm putting it as a philosophy, education, and science, because I believe that is the way in which the progression has taken place. It is indeed interesting and a unique combination. I, on behalf of NIT Durgapur, I welcome today's resource person, Professors Bikash Sinha, Martin Kamchen, Anupam Basu, who is our director, and Sushanta Dasgupta. I also welcome all the students who are gathered or who have gathered over here, along with their teachers and or parents. I would be talking to you in general about my thoughts on this particular theme. In your school system, this is not directly covered, but you have some aspects of philosophy, and that comes about in the form of the courses like civic science. Due to the prevailing market demands, most of the technical institutes in the country, such as IITs, NITs, triple ITs, ICERs, are not full-fledged universities covering wide range of subjects such as philosophy, law, biological sciences, history, etc. Along with philosophy, I also would have liked to include sociology, psychology, anthropology, as all of these deal with the humanity at large. Philosophy, education, and science are all dynamic disciplines and depend on evolution of human brain, spoken and the written languages, intellectual capabilities, and physical competencies. Western philosophers, Aristotle, Plato, Chinese philosopher, Confucius, Indian philosophers such as Buddha, Nagarjuna, Adi Shankara, followed different approaches in articulating philosophy, but with the same ultimate goal of apprehending truth and understanding the best way to lead one's life. The teaching of these philosophers enabled different religions of the world frame guidelines and guiding principles to live by, which kept on changing from time to time. Indian education reformists of pre-independence era had emphasized on traditional learning in a Guru Shishya Parampara as well as girl education for empowerment of the society. This was in the form of informal education in the fine and liberal arts such as music, dance, handicrafts, dramatics, painting, sculpture, etc. There are three forms of education. One is the formal, where you get a degree certificate. There is a non-formal, where you get just a certificate, and informal, where you don't get anything immediately, but you get a name and a fame if you accomplish something in the days and the years to go by. Whereas the efforts of the British educators in yesteryears were to prepare mid-level civil servants for their commercial and administrative requirement, a few luminaries such as Dadabhai Nauroji, D.B. Karve, Savitribai Phule from Maharashtra, Ram Mohan Rai, Vidyasagar, Swami Vivekanand from uh, West Bengal, and similarly in from all other parts of the country. I am just referring to only two states with which I am familiar, but I am sure all of you are aware that efforts were made by these reformist education system. Attempt in all these efforts were to inclusiveness, impart inclusiveness, and democratizing the education process. What I mean by democratization is essentially it is available to any and all, irrespective of caste, creed, their financial status, and so on and so forth. Currently, the government is attempting the same sort of a theme in our system. Couple of years ago, NEP 2020 was promulgated by Ministry of Education, Government of India. This policy document bears quite few similarities with Rabindranath Tagore's ideals. It empowers the student option of multi-level entry and exit, academic credit bank, right choices, etc. This essentially removes the rigid form of existing education system. Tagore believed that education should prepare the individuals for the service of humanity, human regeneration, cultural representation, harmony, and intellectualism. Educational institutes should build on the power of thinking and imagination in an individual and help turn herself or himself into a self-sustained building block of human society and a creative canvas of the nation. He said, don't limit a child to your own learning because child is a father of man, right? You have heard that. You don't block his thought processes. Ask him to think out of box. Don't limit him. And he was born in another time. So we keep on saying, that uh, Papa, you are getting old. The times have changed and so on and so forth. Partly it is true, but partly there is some learning process that has to go through because your papa and grandpa, both of them, they have acquired wisdom through years of their thought processes, toiling and working and so on. So forth. They have got enormous amount of experience which you can possibly be using it. Another quote of Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore is education means enabling the mind to find out that ultimate truth which emancipates us from bondage of dust and gives us wealth, not of things, but the inner light, not of power, but love. It is the process of enlightenment, divine wealth that helps realization of truth. And philosophy precisely tries to find the truth. enabled by the scientific temperament. As NEP 2020 attempts to secure Tagore's vision in body, mind, and soul, its implementation will determine success or failure. It lays emphasis on use of mother tongue toward the inclusiveness as well as instills culture, values, and national spirit. Audience today comprises of large number of school children, as I can see, and hence I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts about how they should handle themselves. Um, you are on the verge of entering into the professional education. In this competitive world, this is your first test to prove your capabilities. This one is indeed stressful time for you. Anxieties and a fear about the future. Everyone goes through it at one time or the other. But please remember, each one of you have unique characteristic traits, competencies, and intellectual capabilities. Important thing is you should identify and nurture these with the help of the elders. Maybe you would need a guiding hand from your parents, friends, or close relatives in these efforts. But keep your ego aside and don't hesitate to accept any such help with gratitude from time tested, experimental, experienced friends, which include your parents and relatives as well. It's all the more essential for you to be in good company, exercise, meditate, avoid extreme mood swings, depression, and be open to the people around you who care for you. This is not philosophy, education, or a science, but it is all about you and how you shape up to be proud and distinguished citizens of India. I would like to advise you respect the elders for wisdom, respect the time that you give, uh, because it is important for you as well as for others, and respect your words, which are essentially commitment. I When I was growing up, I also had, I'm almost sure you have, all of you have heard Rabindranath Tagore's very famous poem, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. This is the sum and substance of his seminar. You would be listening to my other distinguished colleagues, and you would be enriching your experiences by listening to them, adopt them as much as you can, and uh, try to be developing your own path towards your enlightenment. With these few words, I declare today's conference open, and I wish all of you all the very best. Unfortunately, I am not able to come in person and talk to you, but this is the way in which I wanted to communicate with you. Thank you very much, and then enjoy this full day's seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable and kind words. Now, may I request Professor Anupam Asu, Director NIT Durgapur, to give a short inaugural speech. We are very much thankful to Professor Basu for his generous support. We would like to just receive you with the flower.
at the very outset, I'd like to welcome all the school children, the teachers of their schools, and all other guests who have made their presence here, and that makes this program successful. We are looking forward to your presence, and I'm really grateful that you could make it possible today. The title of the conclave, as everybody say, goes like science, philosophy, and education. But the underlying tune of that is possibly missing. The underlying tune was from the viewpoint of Rabindranath Tagore, because it is being organized by the Tagore Center along with Nit Durgapur. Now, when we talk about education, I am not going into science and philosophy right now, but the philosophy part is entangled always with whatever we say, and Tagore's philosophy was also entangled, embedded in his thoughts on education. As all of you know, Tagore was a pioneer in a different form of education that he postulated and championed all through his life, starting from the establishment of Brahmacharya, then Pathshalas, Sinha, and Vishwabharati, of course, where the world is supposed to come and meet. The basic tenet of education was best enunciated his thoughts, so best enunciated obviously by Tagore himself. He said that education rests on 5 pillars, and this is something that is very important for the teachers to take note of. When we make the curriculum, our chairman was talking of NEP 2020, whatever policy we make, I personally feel these 5 pillars should be the basic tenets of that policy. What are those? First is Ananda, means joy. Education must be something that will be giving us joy, that must be joyful. That should not be stressful. The second one is creativity. Sriyanshila. Let the students bloom, let the students be creative, give them and the third tenet is freedom, Shadimata. They must have the freedom to think, freedom to enunciate, freedom to do. Tagore was always against putting up walls around to make you cocooned in your thoughts. That's why freedom is so important, along with Ananda, Shadinata, Ananda, Sriyanshilata, the creativity. The other two the other one was Bikash, self-development. The environment of education must be such that everybody should be able to develop himself or herself. The system should not be a routine, roller-like structure that will bring out rolled steel out of all students of the same fabric, of the same quality, and everything uniform. No, human beings are not created like that. Everybody has got his or her own path of development, Bikash. So Bikash was a very important component. And the 5th component was Prakash. Prakash means communication, expression. And this is where I would like to lay emphasis today to my dear students, that our ability of Prakash, ability of communication, ability of expression comes from the study of language and literacy. Unless we have got a grasp of language, unless we have got a grasp of literary thoughts and literary styles, will not be able to express ourselves. There are quite a few scientists sitting here. They also know very well that when they publish their papers, they need to write it properly in order that people can read it and in a very small area or whatever, within limited words, you have to be able to prokash yourself, express yourself properly in order that makes a mark among the recipient. So these are the 5 fundamental pillars that Tagore enunciated long back, and I personally feel if we really lay emphasis and if we really pay heed to these points, I think we can really evolve into a much better education system that will embrace Tagore's philosophy. So I request all the teachers and the students to please keep this in your consideration, so that when you design curriculum or when you walk in the class, keep this in mind, that the students are never bogged down. Let them have the Shadinata, let them have the Anandu, let them have the capability of Prakash, let them have the Sijanshilata and Thank you very much. I welcome you all for today's program. There are a number of talks that are paved along the way, and I'm sure you will enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your nice words and very encouraging words. Now, may I request Dr. Chatterjee, Pushri Chatterjee from Sinha with they want to present some kind of honor to Nit Durgapur. So may I request him to provide the bouquet to our director of the Thank you so much. Well, so we are still in the inaugural session. Now, when we talk about the Rabindranath figure, obviously there is science, there is philosophy, the major part, what we know, that is the Rabindra Sangeet, the Rabindric, we call Purivesh, environment. So here today, we are very glad to share with you that we have got a request and also we invited very famous a singer from who normally perform in the Akashvani and Lady Bangla also. Mrs. Anandita Roy, may I request Madam with your team to please come on the stage for the performance. So Professor Bikash Sinha is already here with us. So welcome, sir. Please have your seat. So Mrs. Anandita Roy and her group, they have vast experience. Mrs. Roy, she is she is part of different kind of music, maybe the Rabindra Sangeet, the Atul Prasadi, the Rajinikanth song, the Vijendra Viti, and many more old Bengali songs. She is a graded artist in Akashvani and Doordarshan and awarded with Sangeet Bhaskar and Sangeet Ratnakar and Sangeet Surat Khan. So she is already got many kind of thing. She has published an album, Nivit Vasiri and Ratnaha. So may I request Mrs. Roy and her group to really have a short performance because we don't have much time. We have the academic talk also from 11:30 onwards. Please, madam.
Namaskar. শুভ সকাল। এনআইটি এবং টেগোর সেন্টারের যৌথ উদ্যোগে আজকের এই সুন্দর সকালে খুব ভালো লাগছে। বিজ্ঞান মনস্ক এবং বিজ্ঞান চেতনায় জানিত সমস্ত মানুষের মাঝে আসতে পেরে অনেক ধন্যবাদ জয়ন্তদাকে এবং আমাকে যারা আহ্বান করেছেন সকলকে। সত্যি তো তাই, রবীন্দ্রনাথের মতো বড় বিজ্ঞানী আর কে ছিলেন, এটা বললে বোধহয় অতিশয়োক্তি হবে না। আমার নিবেদনে আজকে রবীন্দ্রনাথের 3টি গান। প্রথম গানটি সেই চিরাচরিত শক্তির উৎস, শক্তির আধার ঈশ্বরকে নিবেদন করে। আমরা জানি কোনো কিছু শিখতে গেলে মানুষ সমস্ত জানলা দরজা খুলে দিতে হয়। সেরকম একটি গান। আমার সৃজনশীলতা, স্বাধীনতা, আত্মবিকাশ এবং প্রকাশ। বড় ভালো লাগলো। তাই এখানে বসে আমি যে গানটি সিলেক্ট করে এসেছিলাম সেটি পরিবর্তন করে একটি অন্য গান গাইছি। আশা করি আপনাদের ভালো লাগবে।
an excellent performance. Thank you, madam, and your team, madam. So now, may I request your team and you to please come to the central part of the stage so that we can have some, token of love and respect to you and your team on behalf of the NIT Durgapur. So we got an excellent performance from Mrs. Anandita Roy and her team, Mr. Vijil Roy and Vishal Roy. So let's have a big hand for them. Formally the inauguration, that part is over. Now we are coming to the academic part. So today we have with us Professor Bikash Sinha. I don't think an introduction is required for him. He is very famous. He is a nuclear physicist, and also he was the chairman of the board of governors in NIT Durgapur for quite a long time. He is a former chairman. So Professor Sinha, actually he graduated from University of Calcutta, then he obtained the tripos from the Cambridge University in Natural Science in 1967, and obtained his PhD degree from London University in 1970 and DSc in 1981. Dr. Sinha had lived in England almost for 12 years. He gave vast experience and a lot of activity, experimental and both the theoretical activity. He did in Rutherford High Energy Physics Laboratory, King's College London, and he was also in the atomic energy, and it is still very much there, atomic energy, Department of Atomic Energy, Government of India. He was the director of Sinha Institute of Nuclear Physics and Variable Energy Cyclotron Center, and is internationally known, has traveled extensively in different countries for to bring India the focus in terms of the science, mainly the Europe and the US, the former USSR and the Japan. He has published more than 300 papers, research articles, the pioneering work on quark-gluon plasma, and is already well recognized internationally in his work. He leads the team from India to participate in the experiment at CERN. We talk about the Large Hadron Collider that is in the CERN. All of you know, many of the students you know about very well. The God particle, all these things. So he's very much involved in this activity. And he also worked in another laboratory in US, that BNL lab and the RHIC, that collaborations. And Dr. Sinha is a recipient of the S.N. Bose Bart Century Award of the Indian Science Congress Association in 1994. And Professor Sinha has been conferred Padma Shri Award by the Government of India in 2001 for his significant contribution in science and technology. Dr. Sinha has been awarded with Dr. Raja Ramanna Prize offered by Department of Atomic Energy. He received that prize in 2001. Dr. Sinha has become a fellow of the Third World Academy of Science, Italy in 2002, and Indian Academy of Science, Bangalore in 2004. Professor Sinha was the Vice Chancellor of the West Bengal University of Technology. Now you know is the Macau, that university is for a long time. From 2003 he was the Vice Chancellor there. And he was a member of the Scientific Advisory Committee of Prime Minister, known as short form SACPN, And also was the chairman of the governing council of the National Institute of Technology, as I already mentioned, from 2005 to 2014. And he was also recipient of the Humboldt Research Award that offered by the Alexander Humboldt Foundation from Germany. He was awarded with Mignasa Medal of INSA in 2015. Professor Sinha has been conferred the honoris causa DSc by the National Institute of Technology, Silchar in 2010, Bardwani University in 2012, Central University, Koraput, Orissa in 2012, National Institute of Technology, Agartala, Tripura in 2013, and Netaji Subhas Open University in 2013, and University of Kolkata in 2014. Professor Sinha has been conferred the prestigious Padma Bhushan Award as well, but it was offered in 2010 for his significant contribution in science and technology. He has been the holder of the distinguished Homi Bhabha Chair, Professor of Department of Atomic Energy from 2009 to 2014, and recently Dr. Sinha received the Banga Vibhushan Award from the West Bengal government. He recently authored a book entitled Srishti of Kristi, which made an unprecedented impact on many readers. The latest book authored by Professor Sinha is Sthan Kal O Vishwa, which has been received with much more appreciation. So we are fortunate enough to have Professor Sinha here, and I am lucky being a student of him. I got a lot of knowledge, lot of training from Professor Sinha as a PhD student and also as a postdoc student. He was the team leader as the director of the Old Institute of Science Student Greece, where I worked. So thank you, sir, for receiving our invitation, for accepting our invitation. We are really grateful to you. So may I request you, sir, to have your today's talk. He's going to talk about facility talk.
Professor Basu, Professor Kishore Dr. Professor Martin Pension, dear students of National Institute of Technology, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure coming to this hall once again, because I just comparing notes with Nirupam. Last time I was here also for occasion of the convocation. And it's a beautiful hall. Great pleasure. However, this talk title I've chosen may not be the liking of the contemporary technologies of my country, but it's science, philosophy, the universal reality of Tagore has to do with contemporary technology, of interactive technology and other kinds of things. What has it got to do with it? But that's not the idea, if you don't mind. The idea is that you want to educate my young ones. Education means not just focus on a small area of scientific or literary activities, but your overall exposure as to what is going on in the world. It is not surprising, therefore, that the great poet Rabindranath Tagore, you just listened to him, was not just a singer or just a poet, but also a great lover of science. and this point will come back in my talk again and again. In fact, the very first writing he had of an essay was on science. Some of my talk will be a little difficult, or Bangla is do Buddha, but do forgive me. So I hope I get to my point. The world is a construct of sensation, perception and memory. It is somewhat convenient, at least for simplicity, to regard it as existing objectivity on its own. This simply answers, however, has to go through many iterations. It is becoming manifest and conditional on the very special goings on in every special part of this very world, and indeed on certain events that happen in the brain. Or, as Tagore put it, are we showing that? I guess I've already said it. These people are very ancient, so I want to introduce the ancient heroes of mine and like most people, how they look like. Where is Mr. Schuller? Only me. Size. That's okay. This is Alvin Schiller, who was Nobel Prize at the height of physics renaissance in the world in the 1920s and 30s. An Austrian, I think, I believe, by definition, he traveled all over the world. As he puts it, on a purely existential basis, what kind of material sources is directly associated with our consciousness. Now, this business of consciousness has bothered people a lot. And some people in our country, the so-called practicing Hindus, it has something to do with temple and other things. But it's also consciousness should be understood, or we've not understood yet. Can you hear me all right? Hello, at the back. Raise your hand. Don't you have a hand? I say, can you hear me? Say yes. You have a voice? Good. Ultimately, it is through the prism of consciousness that the reality is revealed and perceived. Almost 2,500 years ago, the greatest sages who authored Upanishad in India recognized Atma, equivalent to Brahma, self equally omnipresent, all comprehending eternal self. And Indian thought, far from being blasphemous, it represents the quintessence of the deepest insight of the happenings of the world. All happenings are correlated. Consciousness is thus never experienced in plural, but in singular. What are the forms of reality, not from a philosophical basis, but driven by rational scientific thought processes. First, classical reality, with a scientific texture. Don't think reality or Vastav can be taught always in terms of philosophy. I exist because I think. Statement within Bikash or classical. Classical reality evolved at the time of Galileo Galilei. A miserable man. He wanted to change the outlook to this world, heavenly world. Namely, it's not anymore Earth-centered, the solar system, but heliocentered. Rene Descartes, as I mentioned, the French philosopher, hello. Rene Descartes, the French philosopher, who died in Sweden trying to teach the Swedish queen. And all of you know Isaac Newton, next one. Isaac Newton was not a very nice man. Stephen Hawking, how do I say, I used to know him a little bit, but once took the same chair in Cambridge, called the Bikash chair, Isaac Newton. And he was conceited, and Newton was conceited, egocentric, extremely selfish, but damn brilliant. There is an order to all the comings and goings of the cosmos, an order precisely predicted by the Newtonian classical mechanics. The power of the classical reality is to be able to foretell the future, not in an astrological sense, but in an astronomical sense, driven by Newtonian laws of gravity. Consistently and quantitatively have been revealed. Solar and total of solar and lunar eclipse an excellent phenomenon to prove my point. Then comes relativity reality, relativistic reality. Over the course of a few intense weeks in the spring of 1905, Albert Einstein determined that space and time are neither independent of each other nor absolute, as Newton thought, but enmeshed in a relativity manner that is against the intuition of classical reality. 10 years later, Einstein managed to hammer in the final nail in the Newtonian most brilliant edifice, the laws of gravity. Einstein dazzled the world by asserting that space and time are a part of a unified whole. He went on to demonstrate by wrapping the curvature, the participate in cosmic evolution, Newtonian mechanics and its fantastic utility given to the new reality. Then comes quantum reality. In the microscopic tiny particles behave stability, one can predict reality with a certain probability only. The universe, according to quantum mechanics of Dirac and Heisenberg, is not etched into the present. The universe, on the contrary, participates in the game of chance. The deterministic worldview, at a stroke, gave away to worldview of chance. However, they thus a curious property of quantum entanglement between two events, causally not connected immediately, led to a completely different form of the worldview of reality. In sense of reality, individual is not perceived by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, so profound. Very contrary outlook, but very complementary. This is the old boy, I'm sorry to say this way, everybody knows his face, but very few knows his involvement with science. I'll come to that. What can immediately see the tantalizing hint existential reality. Albert Camus of France, in the midst of Sisyphus, and went on to relinquish everything beyond immediate experience and ceasing to search for any kind of deeper understanding and deeper meaning. Sisyphus, Camus are good, triumphs ultimately. And then Bikash, another century later, took on extreme viewpoint, cogiti ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Famous sentence. I think, therefore I am. You are if you don't think, then you are not what you are. This logic of philosophy is very difficult. The French molecular biologist, another novelist, Jacques Monod, went on to write Charles and Necessity, a fantastic book. The reality is a necessity, but it's entirely and totally of the Charles. That means existence and reality is by Charles. So you exist because you are. On the other hand, you exist because it is by Charles. But that what happened just now is also by Charles. Cosmological reality. The one-dimensional error of time, we take it for granted. In reality, it is not obvious. Eggs break, but they don't unbreak. This is Jacques Monod. Oh, I must tell you a story about Jacques Monod. Jacques Monod came, if you guess, for Eaton Square in London, and they were talking about DNA. It was quite fresh in people's minds. And he came in a very dazzlingly fashionable fashion of France with the French entourage, as it were, and gave a talk about Charles and necessity and reality. I never forget that day used to square because it's such a revelation how DNA is connected to Charles and necessity. Let me just spend 1 second on this issue. You see, you have parents, a father and a mother. Now the fact the father and mother met by chance, and the necessity in this case is obvious, you are the production. But your genetic structure is very much of your father and mother. If in twins case, one of the twins gets the characteristics of the father or mother, and vice versa. Eggs break, but they don't unbreak. Memories are of the past, never of the future. People age, but they don't unage. This obvious asymmetry are part of our lives, yet they remain a huge puzzle. Since accepted laws of physics show no such asymmetry, each direction of time, forwarded and backward, treated by identical physical laws. What I would say, to our categoric chain to Newtonian mechanics, to so-called special theory of relativity, or general theory of relativity, or quantum mechanics. But you can't use present to understand the past. That's Brother Penrose. This is a young Brother Penrose, very handsome English physicist who just got Nobel Prize in 2020. He was supposed to come to our conference, but I forbade him to come to Calcutta because you never know what happens. Elaborate this point persistently. Special laws or conditions at the very heart of the universe may have imprinted the direction of time, rather like winding of a clock, trusting the spring into high order initial state allows to tick forward. The very concept of reality begs the question about the highly correlated order system of 5-gene system. Last, which is not yet discovered, that's work for your young physicists, unify reality. All the strong forces, 4 of us, unified to one singular. Einstein dreamed, and he tried dreaming and couldn't quite find out what is the way out of unifying the 4 forces. Clerk Maxwell has made daunting, if not daring, attempts to unify all 4 fundamental forces of nature: weak interaction, radioactive, electromagnetic, and gravitational forces. So Maxwell and Faraday. This is Clerk Maxwell. I would like to give anecdotes that it just your memories of all. Clerk Maxwell also was a teacher, apart from a great scientific genius, but he was a tremendously bad teacher, awful teacher. So in college I had my do my PhD because the so-called, not so-called, PhD in King's College in London. Mr. Maxwell was also a teacher. It so happens. And you must expect history. So Maxwell one day, having finished his lecture, turned around and saw paper balls all being thrown at him when he was writing something on the board. Authorities didn't like it too much, so asked him politely to leave the college. She went to the ancestral home in Scotland, sat in the complete isolation, and wrote down Maxwell's equation, which is a great, great discovery. Displacement current is still bothers me to understand. Michael Faraday, please. Now, you haven't seen that picture of Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday is a young man who discovered, what he discovered, electromagnetism and so on. Newton, Einstein. No, they're wrong. The reality of the singular world of Vedanta comes closest to the grand unified reality. Now, when there's Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath recalls that Einstein, he had many discussions, which is probably known to some of you, which approach the boundary line of human and abstract conception. Rabindranath says, I could really see that Einstein believed my universe was limited by human experience, human conception, and he was convinced that there remained some truth which is independent of human mind. Our religion is not cosmic, but it counts our personal being which lives as his ideal of good, evil, etc. Science, as I understand, makes no distinction of the moral or aesthetic nature and deals with the factor of existence. Science has nothing to do with personality. And literature has everything to do with personality. On the other hand, religion has nothing more than abstract truth. Einstein asked the poet, human conception of the universe. The truth of the world, whether perceived by our senses or conceived by our logic, necessarily belongs to the human mind of its limitation. Our reason is the harmony of the universal mind, a comprehensive view of things, but that view is human as well as reason, and universal mind is human character. So, one looks for a perfect man which doesn't exist. Doesn't mean the reality doesn't exist, of course. But do you understand the reality? Of course not. So, this is the realization of human entity. Ask Einstein. Einstein talked about Pythagorean geometry. I could conceive of an existence in space, but not the fact of time. And time reigns, and in music, it is not impossible to have a mind which can live only with time, but no notion of space. And that's a difficult sentence to understand. Time, one understands. The space is difficult to understand. Then you say from here to there, the distance is so much. But that's not enough. How did it all start? Bishop Richard in 1938 by Gokhale, just 3 years before his death. And do forgive us, myself, and Shishant and others, the Tagore Center of Natural Science and Philosophy, inspired by Bishop Richard. And Bishop Richard came out of the 4 or 5 interactions that Tagore had with Einstein. We are celebrating 160 years of Gurudev. His many splendid genius is manifested through his poetry, everlasting enchanting music, drama, and painting. And this, I would be not surprised if some of you young, middle-aged, or old, depending on look at it, you very critical what I want to say. In Rabindra Sangeet, music shares the infinite depth and beauty of the words, almost drowning the word with the extraordinary chemistry of the melody. Familiar yet totally novel, fresh. His poetry evokes all the possible emotions of life, bringing in a sense of sublime beauty and tranquility to the farce of very existence of life. Rabindranath Tagore had an abiding and enduring interest in natural science. From a very early age, however, science and Gurudev is hardly discussed, but almost never celebrated. And I am celebrating with you, my young people, is something to celebrate or to hide behind the carpets, behind the world. In his own word, Gurudev says, I'm not a devotee of science. Right from my boyhood, I was greedy for the nectar of science, watching the sawdust going up and then down when the water is being boiled. Young Rabindranath was more than fascinated by the convection current. He observed the void between the water at the top and the bottom. In memory of this inspired mystery, when he was very young, he remained with him for the rest of his life. He writes his 3rd or 4th page of Bishop and 38. So it's not a trivial interest. It's not a pathetic interest. It's not a deep interest. And the emotion that attracted Tagore was that kept him bothering. How is this world created? Of course, being what he is, he saw everything in a different way. We see the reference for the end of his life in Bishop Richard. Young Rabindranath, in his own submission, was date blind, as some people are color blind. At the age of 12 or so, he accompanied his father, Roshi Rabindranath, to the hills of Dalhousie. Traveling all day in Japan, so we don't know what Japanese, so that's another story. The two of them used to reach that bungalow towards evening. Maharshi used to get the choki out the veranda. The cosmos, twinkling stars, started staring. Who are you? We are disturbing our peace. With time, the stars and the planets almost descended on them in the darkness and translucent blue dome of the expanse of solitary isolation. Protected by the manicured fence of the Kumar hills, Maharshi went on to explain the distance, time, the planet took the whole of the sun and many other attributes the cosmic mystery. Young Rabindranath, younger than he was, went down his very first essay in his life, Indeed, the very first writing of any importance. At that age, looking at the oceans, art, and planets and so on. The abiding involved Rabindranath in natural science and philosophy started the eventual journey. His article was published in the journal of Tagore in 1874. Quote, I developed a taste and thus I wrote. He confessed about his passion for natural science. You see, this is the point. Natural science should not be read because you are discovering another technology. However respect I have for technology. It should be kind of a dream, a kind of a try to understand the innermost thought processes of nature. And some people might think, what good is it going to be to understand the goings on in innermost thoughts of nature? Well, that's the question many times many people ask, but there is no need to answer because of sheer joy of understanding. I developed a taste of that I wrote. Rabindranath heroically traversed the two cultures of science and humanity with ease, poise, and rare brilliance. This unique sense of adventure in the poet stayed on with him until the primordial sun faded away just before his death. Prosodina Shudya Krishna Gojino Shatta Natu Abhinavai Merenito. There is no doubt of literature discussing Tagore, but science, what is most, is only so pedantic and expected is some contents of a book devoid of any romance or passion. The Bengal Renaissance movement took off. Acharya Ganesh Chandra Bose discovered daily waves with a small laboratory in Presidency College. Acharya Krishna next across the ocean did fantastic discoveries in chemistry. Albert Einstein discovered the special theory in 1905 and eventually Rutherford in Cambridge discovered the atomic nucleus. The war plunged into the most destructive and fierce war. Clearly, it was a time for beauty, aesthetics, and scientific elegance contrasting against the destruction and mindless violence, the unbearable pains of a major war. Indeed, the world would all war, and peace and aesthetics were devastatingly doomed. You know, about 100 years ago, that a young Nobel laureate, Warner Heisenberg, creator of famous Heisenberg, on such principle, went to see the world famous Rabindranath Tagore at his Durgapur residence. There is no detailed record which was found. Yet it classified the conversation almost solely based on the conflict of the singularity and plurality. The logic of evolution, particularly the issue of evolution, was very much the outlook of the world. He perceived quite early that the individual consciousness is indeed an intrinsic part of universal consciousness. The harmony of this coexistence, the unity of individual consciousness is the central force of creation. Existence of single philosophy. Now let us come to the famous dialogue, very briefly, Albert Einstein and Rabindranath. Very briefly. Albert Einstein, AE. If there is no human being anymore, the Apollo Belvedere is no longer to be beautiful. Aren't you observant? No. AE. I may agree with you about your concept of beauty, but it's not applicable to the concept of truth. Why not? The truth is only when man perceives evil. Man perceives the truth. The long silent debate. My thoughts are right, but I cannot prove it, but this is my religion. Please note, Einstein invokes religion. That existence to me is meaningless, absolutely without meaning if man does not observe. Etc. By celebrating the 150 years of the great poet, it is pertinent to remind ourselves in this revolution where science blends effortlessly with the universal philosophy of reality. Gurudev was remarkably bold and almost outrageous in his assertion of self with universality. The reality and its true relevance and its reality of true relevance. The most dramatic manifestation of the singular and universal consciousness of the poet is expressed in other more popular poem of profound universal, yet subtly disliked poem entitled I. The color of my consciousness turned emerald to green, ruby turned crimson. I looked upon the sky, the light was lit across the east and the west. I looked at the roses and said, beautiful, and they became beautiful. This is neither vanity nor arrogance, my consciousness is the intrinsic part of intrinsic consciousness, therefore I am. The poet almost startled the world when he explained the universe is like a spider's net, and our mind is a spider going through singularly plurality sometimes. Another Nobel Prize winner is a machine. Many was delightful and insightful comment. The question of meaning reality was the eternal subject of the fascinating dialogue with Einstein and Tagore. Einstein emphasized that science and is independent of existence or observation. Later about the incorrectness of response, it is ready to deny the reality of time as universality and evolution. The poet's perception of universal consciousness long years ago was ridiculed by Russell, the mumbo jumbo, suddenly awakening at the waterfall, mutually shocked among them. The poet's outlook turns out to be right and absolutely right. Iliad machine, prediction turns out to be correct. Wish. Next one. Last. Anyway, I must tell you a story which some of you may know. Because he once came to the old Sahara City auditorium in St. Lavender. And he was finishing his talk. And his Belgian accent, Rabindranath. And there was a man, a washerman outside, did that fantastic noise of having a cloth trap, a stone piece. And because he was now starting, the whole concept of reality was shattered with that peculiar noise. But that was interesting at the time. So Kapur had to do with reality, I wonder. We get carried away understandably, Rabindranath music, but hardly paying attention to the words. How many of us pause and wonder if heaven is beauty of those immortal words, the cosmic dome, with all the stars in the sun, limitless life across the universe, I myself at the center, wonder of all wonders, universe unheard, universe austere. Ordinarily ask people, what do you mean by what is your perception about Bhuvan Dole? I am not very much. I mean, they haven't followed. What is Bhuvan Dole? Oscillating universe? Of course. Now I'll finish my talk, I'll cross my time. That Bhuvan Dole means what Roger Penrose has discovered, for which he got a Nobel Prize, that this universe would close down after all the planets, all the stars run out of nuclear evolution. The cold gray is universe will be. And then the black holes, billions of them, will be there around the cosmic sky, and they will pop at the same time because their temperature is higher than the ambient universe. And that's the energy of the next Big Bang. So the universe goes from one eon to another eon, the Lord says, and another eon, another eon. So Bhuvan, then you don't have to take the words. You probably like to hear Bhuvan Dhule. To Dhule যাচ্ছে কোথায়? Where is it going? দুলছেই বা কেন? সমুদ্রের খেয়ে কাঁদতে দুলবে কথা। But it's very interesting, deep perception, and it was. I find it fascinating. You book him out, Roger, on the phone, cycle, whatever. But it is played a course about on this issue. We have gone on for too long. Old age has the habit of going on a bit too long because of things that one we never heard before. After I hope you enjoy a little bit. If you enjoy 20%, I'll be very grateful. And thank you very much. Thanks a lot. And I've enjoyed coming to the couple weekend. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Now it's really oscillation going on in this auditorium. Sir, talk about the fundamental thing, the singularity, plurality, consciousness, and the latest idea where Nobel Prize came, classification, all the ideas came from the Rabindranath. So we are really, sir, fortunate enough to have you here today. I heard you from long back, but again, a new idea I got from today. So may I request Professor Anupam Basu, Director elect, to offer a token of honor, respect and love to Professor Sinha. So may I request you to come to the central part of the Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director, sir, Professor Basu. Now, may I request the audience to have a quick tea sessions outside the auditorium, the upstairs of the auditorium. We'll come back within 10 minutes. After that, we have the session of Dr. Martin Kenshin. So I'm requesting all of you to have a quick tea break for 10 minutes in the upstairs of the auditorium, please.
বিপদ হলেই তো হলো
টাকা পাকায় তো এগোচ্ছেই তো দেখছি চারিদিকে যাচ্ছে
কিন্তু বাইরে গেলে ওই সেই বাংলায় যে বাইরে মানে আপনি আমি বলছি না যে আমেরিকা or anything like that. Even in our country, Bombay or Hyderabad or Bangalore, আমার ভাইপো ব্যাঙ্গালোরে পড়াশোনা করে রিসার্চ করে ভেরি হ্যাপি কমপ্লিট ফ্রিডম। এখানে একটা ইনস্টিটিউশন যদি রিসার্চ হয় সেখানে তো পলিটিক্স ঢুকতে যার অবস্থা
মানে এটা রাজনীতির জন্যই আজকে শিক্ষার এই হাল দেশে।
আমি অন্তর যাবো না বা রাজনীতির চারিদিকে ঢুকে বসে
স্যার এই পরিকাঠামোগত তো শিক্ষার উন্নয়নের জন্য একটা বড় ব্যাপার, সেখানে এইভাবে টিচাররা ঢুকলে আপনি তো সেখানে একটা মেসেজ দেবেন, আপনারা একটা মানুষ প্রত্যাশা করে, সোসাইটি প্রত্যাশা করে, কী বলবেন? রাস্তায় বসে আছে এত টিচার যে ঢুকছে তারা তো কীভাবে ঢুকেছে, কী হয়েছে, আগামী দিনে কীভাবে
ঢুকছে। স্কুলের ঘন্টা বাজে শেষ হওয়ার টাইম শেষ হওয়ার আগেই ঘন্টা বাজে এবং সেখান থেকে চলে যায় বাড়িতে, সেই ছেলেগুলোই বাড়িতে আছে প্রাইভেট। তো আমি একটা স্কুলের সঙ্গে জড়িত ছিল, কাঁদি বলে একটা জায়গা, আমাদের বাড়ির সঙ্গে সুন্দর ছিল। সেটি চাষাকে আমি দিয়েছিলাম, রিয়েলি চাষা বলে টিটিং না কি বলবো বলুন, আমার বড় দুঃখ কষ্ট। এই আপনাদের যে ভরাটি পদার্থবিদ্যা কেন করেন আমি জানি না, আমাকে দুটো অধ্যাপক রাখতে হবে। কেন? একজন ছবি আঁকে আর একজন অঙ্ক। কী শিখবে তার? শিখতে গেলে তো ঘুরতে হবে না।
থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
Thank you very much. Thank you. I love you.
রাস্তায় বসে আছে তাহলে রাজ্যের লজ্জা কি বলবেন?
500 দিন পরে
600 দিন হয়ে গেল চাকরি
এসএসসি আর টেটের যে আন্দোলন চলছে রাজ্যে,
আন্দোলন করে তো খেয়েছে। আন্দোলন করে
তারা তো ন্যায্য প্যানেলিস্ট, পরীক্ষা দিয়ে পাস করে প্যানেলে
পুরোটাই পুরোপুরি ন্যায্য না, পুরোটাই পুরোপুরি অন্যায্য। I mean, that's the philosophy of reality. বাস্তব হচ্ছে এই ন্যায্য কি ন্যায্য, কি ন্যায্য। তুমি খালি হাল্লা করছো, হাল্লা করলে তো তোমারই ভুল হবে। আমরা কি প্রেসিডেন্সি কলেজে পড়াশোনা করে নিশ্চয়ই করেছি, but not at the expense of studying.
তো একেবারে নিম্ন বুনিয়াদী মানে স্কুল লেভেল থেকে কি চেঞ্জ করা যেতে পারে এরকম কোনো?
স্কুল লেভেল থেকেই হবে, স্কুল লেভেল থেকেই হবে।
একটু যদি রাস্তা বলেন।
তারা স্কুল লেভেল থেকেই হবে। ওই সময় যদি হাত থেকে ফসকে পালিয়ে যায় বিড়াল বাচ্চা, আর ফিরে পাবে।
তাহলে কিছু নির্দেশ যদি যান, যেমন ওই মাস্টারমশাই জানতে চাইছিলেন, কিছু যদি নির্দেশ দেন তাদেরকে।
মেসেজ পড়ানো হয়, ওই যে টিক 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 টিক
মোবাইল টিকটিক করে যাচ্ছে,
না হরার।
তবুও কিছু যদি একটু উপদেশ দেন আর কি, যে কি করলে হয়।
আপনি জানেন প্রিন্সটনে অনেক ছাত্র থাকে, বেস্ট স্টুডেন্টস এবারে ইটস নট অ্যালাউড ইনসাইড দি ক্যাম্পাস। সুতরাং যে রদ্দি খবর, কোন ফিল্ম স্টার কী করেছে, এইসব আজে বাজে খবর সব মুখস্থ থাকে।
ঠিক আছে, ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
ওনাকে